And we're back. Hold on, I want to start it like this. With a joke.
Go ahead.
What's the astronaut's favorite part of a computer?
Astronaut's favorite part of computer is the mothership board.
That's a good guess. The space bar.
This guy, yo. How about, what did the tomato say to the other tomato in the race?
Catch up.
Damn.
That's easy. That was in a movie. That was in Pulp Fiction.
I don't remember. I do remember
Uma Thurman.
Fiction.
Yep. Uma Thurman's part.
Yeah, there was a couple of parts in there that just there's a couple of parts in there, but that dad joke is crazy. Welcome back.
All right.
Welcome back. Here we go, another episode of Daddy Issues. Cut to opening thing I do on the edit. Co-host, my name is Ola. You know who I am by now. Daughter is 17 months about. Proud dad, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host.
I'm Lito, father of an 8-year-old. She's about to be a green belt in Taekwondo. So if you mess with me, you messing with her too. So
word up.
Chill out.
You gotta go through her to get to you.
Facts.
So I wanted to talk to you. I'm sorry. We wanted to talk, because I'm not talking to you. We're talking to each other, but about like lately we're like witnessing what we see like in Florida and those places, taking things out of the history book and things of that nature, like, what we learned about slavery. And, now they're saying, what are they saying about like, it's, what do they call it? Like it's white shaming or whatever.
White shaming.
I don't know.
What they call it? Hold on, we got a, what they call it?
What they call it?
Do you know?
Okay. Well, they call it something where I see it. So first of all, it was critical race theory.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I don't understand critical race theory, and I think I'm pretty astute.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know what it means either, but I try not to like. I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news. I read the news.
Yeah,
I just think it's
sensational.
It's better to read it than to watch it, because it's sensational when you. Because they want to say their stuff, and it's like, I don't really want to hear what y'all got to say.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just read it.
Yeah, and it's like, taking stuff out the books, doing it in, taking stuff out, and the politics behind it is crazy because it's really gaslighting people. We have more information at our fingertips than ever. So for me, I wanted to talk about with you, and you want to talk about with me, about how do we teach our kids with the changing of history books as fathers, about what's going on. First, how do we teach them the same things were taught about, from slavery to all the things we were taught? And then how do we talk to them about what's going on in schools today, some schools, about them switching it up, basically. So I know growing up, I watched all the black movies.
What you mean? Which ones?
Yeah, Queen and Roots.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it was like I was like living in the African American museum in my house. Like my sister is really into a lot of Afrocentric things, and my brother too. And they would read a lot. I mean, I remember what's the Carter G. Woodson book, and I saw it, and I just was so in awe. I had like.
I have it at home.
It was green.
Yeah.
And it had the thing around his head. I'm going to Google that. The Miseducation of a Negro. And my sister had the book. And I was just so, like, I would look at it every day, but it didn't have no pictures in it. So I ain't want to. But I was young.
Okay, I would give you a pass on that.
Yeah, I was like 8 maybe. And I was just looking, I'm 9 and 10. And I didn't know. You couldn't Google stuff back then. So you just asked. And you know what my sister would say when I asked?
What?
Go read it. So she would say, go read it. Like, why are you asking me? And she was right. I should go and read it, but the words are so small, no picture, so it was like, whatever. And then she had a lot of books. She still does. It doesn't make any sense. And my brother, my brother,
yeah.
Mr. Quote upon quote upon quote, reading this and reading that. So I got my love of reading, because I do read a lot, but I do Audible, but because I drive and I want to listen to books, but I read a lot of news articles. I send y'all articles all day, all night about finance and politics and sports and a bunch of stuff. But kids have more stuff today, so they should be reading even more, right? But it seems like the movement is to take things out of the history book. So that's how I grew up, with a bunch of stuff. How did you grow up with history and the things of that nature?
Man, I can't. I'm thinking like the first like history that I was like into was like learning about Egypt, like Egyptology and all that stuff. Probably around fourth grade. For some reason, like I went to this elementary school in Bushwick, and I had this one teacher. He kind of looked like Malcolm X, but he was like always teaching us about Egypt. He wore like the dashikis and the kufis and all that.
I had a teacher like that too. I'm gonna talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know if he was not the curriculum he was supposed to be teaching, but he really got me into Egypt. And I'm still like, even now, if I see something about Egypt, I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna look at it. But that's the first thing that I was interested in, and I realized that like most of the Abrahamic religions, they very similar to the Egyptian, like I don't know if they call it a religion or not, but they had the Book of the Dead, and you can trace the Bible and some other holy books back to that. So that was like the first like history that I was into.
Yeah, and I remember just being immersed in that, and then first rappers I remember, like the Public Enemy and stuff like that, stuff they would talk about. That's kind of history too, like just seeing yourself. I'm a little different because coming from Nigeria, I didn't have the same experience all the time. I went to school with a lot of kids, Black American kids, but in the four walls of our house, our parents really couldn't teach us that stuff. So we learned on our own. They couldn't teach because they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
They knew Nigerian history. They knew what they knew when they came here, but they didn't. They taught us. We learned ourselves, and I'm the youngest, so I would see my sister go on all these ceremonies and just teach me about. I remember watching Queen sitting there every night. Like, why can't we just watch the at the time the Knicks or something, or like, and then I would really get into that stuff and then bring it to school. School didn't really have a bunch of things. I remember we had a teacher, Mr. Baraka, got a shout out at Mr. Baraka in middle school, and he would teach us this stuff. He was the social studies teacher, history, social studies, and he would teach us not just beyond that stuff. He would teach us jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And I was my first ever man teacher, by the way. I didn't see a man teacher till 7th grade.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't see a man teacher till 7th grade. All elementary school was all women. But he would teach us that stuff. To see a man, Black man, young, talk about, just Black things and take us. I remember he took us to the Brooklyn Museum. We saw an exhibit about mummies and Egypt and things of that nature. It was great. And it's just, the powerful image of a Black man teaching us that every day. And we ain't listen as much as we probably should have
at that age.
Yeah,
really.
But I remember just about everything he said and how he delivered it, and how he presented himself as a man. So seeing all that, now seeing this, how do you go about, because my daughter is really young, but I told her she's watching everything from When They See Us, Ava DuVernay's When They See Us, to whatever it is. I'm not hiding that stuff from you. This is the country you live in. What do you say to Amina, about that stuff?
In my house, we keep it 100%, 1,000% real.
You mean your wife surprisingly does that?
You know her, so I ain't even got to say much. But no, we tell her like it is. Like, I remember she came home one day talking about George Washington never told a lie, because that's one of the fables that they tell.
But he never told a lie.
He told a lot of lies. No, but we sat her down. It's like, these people own slaves. They enslaved Black people, basically. They own these people. They didn't allow them to be free. They made them work. They didn't pay them. She was probably like 5 years old when we telling her this stuff. But we break it down so that she can understand. But we're not like sugarcoating anything. Like, we're gonna tell you how it is, and this is it. And it is what it is. Like, you're allowed to have friends of other races and stuff like that, and love everybody. But this is what happened, right? We can't change what happened.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, especially with religion. I got my own issues or whatever with religion. I don't say issues, but it is what it is. I'm not. What I grew up believing is not what I believe now. So I'm thinking, how do I go about saying that without saying it the most raw, uncut, uncensored way? And at what age is it appropriate? But I also having a respect for my wife's religion and her grandparents who are religious, especially my mom. So how do I go about teaching that as a man? I don't want to sit there and take the back seat to anybody. I want to be a dad and be forefront. I never want to lie, but I know you got to be appropriate at a certain age for kids. You can't tell them everything. You can, they want to know about everything, and they don't know what they don't know. But you also want to be the first one to teach them, and then you don't want their friends teaching them stuff. But just dealing with atrocities in history, like I remember last year that thing in Uvalde, that shooting in Uvalde, which I'm holding my newborn and I'm watching this on TV. And I watch the news. I watch a lot of things on the news, from planes flying into buildings to all kind of stuff. And it just be like, okay, like not okay, like I didn't care, but I got desensitized to it. It's like
It's
murder.
just so much
Hmm.
stuff happening. It was just like,
Murders that happen. Growing up in New York City is like every night on the news. But this one, holding the kid, that really shook me because it could have, and it always thought it was funny. People say it could have been mine, and it seems like you're trying to place yourself in there, but no. What could stop someone from running in my child's school and doing the same thing? But now I'm holding a child. It's not like Columbine back then, or you know, Florida Park, I forgot what it's called, but Parkland, Florida. So now it's like, what do you tell your daughter about school shootings?
I don't know if we had that conversation, but she just started school a couple days ago in a new school. In this school, she told me, she's like, next week we have a fire drill and a shelter in place drill. And we had like an orientation, and they told us that they was going to do this. But it was like, I've never had, I don't think I ever had that type of drill
Yeah.
before, because
We had fire drills growing up, and I know as an educator, we didn't have shelter in place. Yeah.
so they was like, they told us the tactics that they use. Every door has a lock. The kids should spread out. They shouldn't all be in the same area. If someone gets in, whatever. Um, but yeah, that's how they prepare for it now. It's I don't think about it like they're doing a fire drill in case a fire happens. Very unlikely that it will. I think it's also very unlikely that a school shooting will happen. But they do have protocols in place, so I'm not like one of those fearful people. Like every day, I'm fearing that something's going to happen at the school.
But did you ever explain to her a school shooting on TV if you saw something? If you can remember, if you didn't, you didn't.
Yeah,
But
I don't think so. Because like I said, I don't watch the news, so we wouldn't see it. I'll probably read about it, but I don't talk to her about everything I'm reading in the news. I think from watching TV, I guess she knows that guns exist and they're dangerous, but no, I haven't had that conversation that people are shooting schools. But I mean, it's probably something that we should talk about at some point, especially maybe next week after they have the shelter in place, and explain to her why they did that and what that's about.
yeah, I'm thinking like back in the 50s, we don't do bomb drills like they
Hide
did,
under
because
the desk, yeah.
yeah, that was what it was back then. Like the nuclear and what bomb, but we don't do that. So I'm trying to think like, how do you talk to them about that, or all the stuff? Did you talk to her about George Floyd and all that stuff when that was
She
going on?
was not. What year was that?
2020. She was 5.
She was 5. No, we didn't. We didn't talk about that. Yeah, some things like 5-year-old might not understand. Maybe if she saw it on TV, maybe we could talk about it. But it was just not something that was in her
Yeah.
purview at the time.
Okay. So yeah, she was too young. Like I said, is age appropriate, I guess, if you saw things in the streets. Now, growing up, may not be atrocities, but this is interesting. Like when we grew up, especially being of the hip hop culture, LGBTQ,
Yeah.
it was different. It was cut and dry back then.
Go ahead.
Growing up as someone of the hip hop And I'm choosing words carefully because how we grew up and how people used to talk about the community is not what goes on now.
It was like an insult to be whatever
Yeah, so
you were. Yeah.
I'm sure we all live in the New York City area. It's a very liberal community. Yeah. Have you ever explained to her? Has she ever asked you a question? I'm not asking you to explain, but has she ever asked you a question about LGBTQ?
She has, because June is Pride Month, right? Mm-hmm. So we driving around listening to the radio, and like they would talk about Pride Month on the radio all the time. So she asked me, "What's Pride Month?"
Did you feel uncomfortable?
Not really. I mean, it is what it is, right? Like I said, we don't sugarcoat stuff. Yeah. I was like, I just didn't want to answer it on my own, so I was like, let's wait till we get home.
Yeah, I put it on my.
We'll all talk about it together. So that's what we did. We got home. We explained to her, LGBT. This is what these letters mean, and this is like, and we like defined them. This is L means this, B means that, whatever. Because like we also, like in our neighborhood, there's a lot of flags up for Pride Day, for Pride Month as well. So we told her, this is what these flags mean, that these people are part of that community. And like I said, we just keep it how it is. We tell her that we are, I don't know, the opposite. I don't know.
Yeah,
heterosexual.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all respect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think if more people said respect, thank you, it's okay. Like that's what happens over there. That's what happens over here. But we're all human. Like that's what people are missing. Everybody wants their thing to be front sometimes. Not everybody, but it seems like people want, all right, there's a movement for LGBTQ. There's a movement for Black Power. There's a movement for this. There's a movement for that. It's tough being a father.
Yo, it is. It's like, it's a full-time job, 24/7. You always on call. You don't get paid enough. So, I mean, it is tough. Like, because like you said, like you want to teach them about stuff. You don't want them to learn it from other places, but sometimes you think they might not be ready, but ready or not, the streets might teach them anyway. So, right. You gotta be able to talk to them. That's why I said, like, we don't sugarcoat nothing, man. Like everything is on the table. Like we talk, and good thing, like she understands what we're saying. Like I guess we're lucky in that sense where, we could talk, she can ask questions. Like it's funny, like religion, for example, you were talking about earlier. My family, we're Muslim, but my daughter, she watches this TV show and it's like a Christian family. So she'd be like, Jesus Christ, hallelujah, all the time, like an old black church lady. But, we told her like, oh, that's Christian stuff that you're saying. And it's funny because she has like a children's Bible. And I was like, go ahead and read it. Like, yeah, you can read it. I want you to be able to like learn about every religion. You should know about Islam. You should know about Christianity, Judaism. She's in a school where like most of the kids were Hindi. So she learned, about Holi and all of their holidays as well. So I'm like, learn everything. You should, because you live in a world with everybody. Mm-hmm. So you should know everything.
So that's a lot of religions. Because when she get up to Scientology, I can't help her.
Learn that too. Like, learn that too. They got a lot of money. So
there's a lot going on out there.
No, but it's like, in Trinidad is one of the most, like, I think Trinidad is one of the most diverse places. They celebrate every holiday.
Oh yeah,
everything. Like my Trini friends will hit me up, Eid Mubarak. I'm like, yo, how do you even know? But like that place, they know everything. But yeah, like let them be able to learn everything. Like don't I would say, certain things, don't shelter them from learning about another religion. There's nothing wrong with that. And your mom actually, because we visited your mom, and your mom was like, oh, she was asking me, she's like trying to be. It's like, oh, you guys Christian or Muslim? I was like, we're Muslim. She's like, okay, whatever, just pick one. I don't care. Just be something. It's funny. But yeah, like just learn everything.
Yeah. And with atrocities, I would say, like you said, I'm following your lead on a lot of things. I tell wife, Lito and them, they did this. They put her in this school. They did that. So they taught her about this. Like they keep it 100. Like, I try to, like, I will try to keep it 100 because it's like, what else we got?
It's like, yo, you're going to have to, all right, you want her to pass her exams, right? So Whatever they tell you, write it down on the paper. When you come home, we're going to tell you what's real. She learned about Christopher Columbus in school. Okay, what did they tell you? All right, write that back down when they ask you the question. But this is what happened with Christopher Columbus. This is why you don't see how my wife asked that, how many Native Americans you see walking around the streets, right? You don't see a lot. Nah, don't laugh.
Yo, your wife is raw, son.
Nah, but you gotta be.
It's like you can't be any worse than her. You like the soft one, right?
Yeah, when it comes to that stuff, probably, yeah. But but it's true. Like how many I seen one Native American one time.
Tatanka don't count.
No, it wasn't Tatanka. This is on Wall Street. This guy, he had like the one piece of thing on, the cloth and everything. And I was like, yo, I was just looking at him like why? I couldn't even form words, you know what I'm saying? But it's right, it's true. You don't see Native Americans. They're native to this land and you don't see them. That's crazy.
That's crazy because as we move further away from the atrocity, let's keep it real, of what they did to the Native Americans, I don't think kids really understand. I don't think I even really understood it back then. A lot of these streets, a lot of these areas are from Native American names.
All over the country. Like
the Illini of...
The fighting Illini of Illinois. Yeah, Illinois in itself is a Native American word. Like a lot of the towns in Long Island.
Mm-hmm. A lot of towns in Long Island, the Adirondack Mountains in New York. You could go up there. All that stuff is all Native American, but we just don't know. Just like I don't think a lot of us know the names of these streets of rich white men, Nostrand and Astor Place and Rockefeller and things of that nature. Like I think we are getting away from our history as Americans, because it's still our history, but Black history. So when they say we're gonna take this out of the textbooks and we're gonna take this out of this and we take this out of that, and people don't fight back and actually go home and they put all their education into school. They get it. They tell them school is going to teach them everything. And we don't go home and teach on top of that. That's an atrocity in itself.
That's the first mistake. Whatever, like school is not going to teach your child everything or everything you want them to know anyway. So you have to be a teacher if you're a parent. Like it's part of the job. Like they're going to teach them whatever that curriculum says. And they, politicians and governors and whoever get to vote on that stuff. So you really don't have a say in what they're learning. I mean, you have a say, you get to vote for whoever they put in, but you don't have a say after that person is there. So whatever you want them to know, you need to teach them.
Yeah. And it's funny because we know that what they're teaching them is something that probably corporations are paying for to make sure they learn this. We know it's antiquated. From every subject down. I'm an educator. I know this. It's not something they should probably... It's not something they probably will use as much as they need to. And you got to teach them at home. You got to teach them that comes everything. Everything's a teachable moment to me. I don't care what it is. So you should use that platform of being a parent, a father, to teach a child, because that's yours. You get first dibs, right? So, and I'm not necessarily the one to fight the school system. Like, it is just like any other institution. They're not going to teach them no matter what the way I'm going to teach them. I just teach them, like you told me, like when she doesn't want to do homework, what do you tell her? There's something you got to do.
Got to do it. Like, there's some things, and this is one of the lectures I gave her. I said, there's some things you're just going to have to do. It might be hard. You might not feel like it. You might not want to. You might have better things to do. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy we're going to break down the mayor's door and we're going to do this, because I don't have the energy to fight it. I just don't.
That's a young man's sport.
Yeah, I don't have but I know I have the energy to teach her what I need to teach her in here and in the house. So she's going to learn that. And I'm not going to be like, when you go to the school, because I remember that growing up, you always tell the teacher about Christopher Columbus and what I taught you at home. I had a parent one time, oh my God. His son would come to school late every day, like an hour late, 2 hours late, actually like 2 hours late. And I said, Dad, why is he coming to school so late? Like, every morning I'm giving him Black history. I'm teaching him the real and this and that. And I'm like, Dad, but why don't you just wake up 2 hours earlier? Like, why I got to be during school time? Because you're teaching him that this is not important. He needs this.
This is elementary school.
This is like kindergarten. Yeah, like he needs this to get where he needs to go. He may not need the information per se, like,
But
whatever.
the skills,
But he
like,
needs the skill. He needs discipline to get up in the morning. I'm talking about 2 hours late. And he's like, you right. But he still came late or whatever, because I think there was other things going on. But he was really adamant, like, yo, y'all don't teach them what they need to learn. So I'm going to do it. But Dad, you can do it. Like
after school.
Yeah, 6 hours there in school, like 6 hours and 20 minutes. So you can do that. But, I'm not against teaching your kid, but just school is school. It's a job to be done. Get it done. Don't take out too many student loans and, do what you got to do,
Yeah. So I don't know, like thinking of like atrocity. So I did my, what is it, ancestry.com. I was like 30.
No, you got out. Like, you are like, he's a whole mix of, see me, 100% Nigerian. You?
I'm 36% Nigerian.
Oh, there you go.
Your brother. Yeah, Baoni brother. But no, it was Nigerian in there, like I think Sierra Leone and like, that the western part of Africa. But there was also European as well. It was like 16 or 17% European. And I remember, like, my grandmother told me my grandmother's grandmother was like a little white lady from Scotland is what she told me.
Scotland, eh?
Scotland, right? So, like, I was thinking, like, how is that possible? Probably, I mean, we go guess how that happened.
Yeah.
But, that's something like I'm gonna have to talk to my daughter about too, right? So, my skin is a lighter shade of brown, and it came from that. So, her skin is very dark brown. My wife is African, from Senegal, so they have very dark skin. So she walks around like, I'm Scottish. Like, okay, you got like 8% in you, but you would never be able to tell to look at her. But that history is going to be a lesson that we're going to have to talk about at some point.
And just to put a nice bow on this, like I said, my parents are 100% Nigerian, but there's a lot that goes on in there, because if you know Nigerian history, Nigeria is not just the country it is now, but it was actually a bigger area, and white man came over and things went all to the shits, I should say. No, but when my dad passed a few months ago, it was like, he never really talked to us about ancestry, this and that. My mother's the one who carries the story. And as I think when you go through losing a parent, I spoke to my mom about our history. She knows even my father's history. I need to make more of an effort to sit down with her, because I know my brother who passed, he has a whole book he was writing in, and I found it, and he was putting things together. And I can't, what can I tell Abby about her side once she goes? Like, I don't live with aunts and uncles and all that in this country. So I need to, and I would encourage others who don't do this, sit down. Even this, I can have my mom record her. She will talk for hours.
I know she will.
I will at least have it on video.
Amen.
I will have it on video, and I'll be able to put piece together and show it to my daughter, and she roll, because we're teaching other people's history in school, and we roll that along into the next generation and the next generation. So we need to make an effort to do that. And I'm gonna make an effort to do that more. I've done it, but to actually sit down and put pen to paper and record her, that's how we keep our history going. We've got all this technology, why not?
True that.
That's it. So
yeah. I remember, it's funny because you talking about history. I remember one time this guy asked me, he's like, it's a white guy. He goes to me, you ever like go back to Africa? This was years ago, before I knew I was 36% Nigerian.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I wouldn't know where to go. I said, well, I don't know exactly where my family's from in Africa. Have you ever gone back to Czechoslovakia? Yo, but it's just like, like what you're saying, we teaching, certain history and not others, but the messed up part is that I don't know until doing that exactly where my family is from. I have no idea.
Yeah, we know in New York or down south where we can trace our roots to, but eventually, unless you are Native American, but you've only seen one Native American in the streets, we can't really, we'll reach a dead end here. So we got it. You're right, because white people also have to go back to their roots if they want to figure that out. But yeah, that was with atrocities. Teaching our kids what we learn and how we learn it, and things that go on in this country, that how do we as dads teach them how to, how do we address them on those things? Any last words?
My advice is keep it real, son.
Keep it real, real.
Real, son.
So, thanks again for watching.